James is getting a good dessert. There's a navel oranges, a mandarin, raspberry in the cake.
And it's healthy too, right? And despite the cake.
I made him a soup with some beef stew seasoning and some of that pasta sauce and peas and baked potatoes. And I'm baking some more potatoes. And I figured he might add this to it. So what I did is I just it took some work actually. I took the pork out of it, and there's 2 dishes worth of pork in there, and they were actually really generous with the pork. Like, it looks like there's a lot in the picture, and there was a lot. And they had really mixed it in, so I had to thaw it out first to pick the pork out of it. And then I thought James might just put some nasturtiums on his salad. That's today's nasturtiums that I picked and washed.
They've been very generous with their blooms this year. They've never been like this, have they?
Well, I don't think I've ever grown. I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
In the fade, it got top of the stack. And then, what else do we have here? Tom Cruise Fallout. And I had a hard time deciding which one should get the top of the stack and which one should not in this case. But yeah, James was mentioning the nasturtiums. And so if he wants to put that on there, then he can. And oh, hello, buddy. And one thing, I wash the flowers, and sometimes I have to be careful that there's not still insects in there because.
Oh, I saw one a while back.
It happens.
But
sometimes they hide in there, and
I see.
I try to get them out of there because I don't think James wants to eat them, and they certainly don't want to be.
I don't want to eat them. No.
Anyway, but James got a fairly lazy kind of dinner today because we're pretty
I'm feeling
exhausted.
lazy just eating. Last night we got in from doing, I'm estimating close to 27 kilometers return trip on the Vimy Peak Trail. We didn't quite get up.
We didn't get to the peak.
I believe it's
but we could have. It was a civilized trail, and honestly, I think it would have been fairly easy to do. I mean, easy. But it was going really steep at that point, and like we didn't take the really steep way to the peak. The trail kind of veers off, and there's some people that just scurry on up there. Yeah. But we were going the other way, the main way, and it was a civilized trail. It was very good.
It's amazing. It's one of the best trails in Warden.
Yeah.
And
but it's guarded by so many biting flies and such.
Oh my heavens, Pauline got a horrible bite and a bit of reaction, it looks like.
Yeah, well, I don't seem to do well to like wasp stings, bee stings, that sort of thing anymore. You know, I really get a reaction. I swell out and everything.
Not good. And I got some sort of reaction, maybe to 2 different types of plants.
Yeah.
So this is through my pants, and they're fairly thick pants.
Yeah.
Not like what I'm wearing.
But I had bare legs, and the only reaction I had was on my feet, like where my socks were.
So let's see where it is in the sunshine.
I don't know if it still is, but yeah, you can
a
still
little
see
bit there. Yeah, much milder than what I got. But she was.
I had the zinc sunblock all over, like really thick on my legs, right? And because
no reaction at all.
If you watch the videos of what I was wearing yesterday, it was almost nothing. So. The flies were loving me because they wanted to take a piece. They were like, so much exposed skin.
Several times by those small flies, right?
Yeah, but the small ones, I mean, they felt like a little pinch or whatever. They didn't really.
It's annoying, but
it's annoying,
they drew blood. You know, like I was bitten twice.
Yeah.
Once, one time, one of them landed on my hand, and well, that was a horse fly. It looked like there are horse flies along that trail. They tend to be where horses have been, right? Anyway, lots of horse stuff on that trail. Yeah. And I was going,
normally they
dude, I don't like killing you, but I'm going to applaud your efforts.
I killed a lot of flies yesterday. They were very easy to kill. They weren't expecting, I guess, humans to swallow.
They don't have the instincts up there.
So, anyway, but the horse flies, wow, yeah. Anyway, you're not mixing this in. I thought you would.
No, I'm keeping it separate.
Oh, weird. okay. I thought you
I'm
would for sure.
okay.
Well, he
When
had
I
that
mix stuff in,
last night.
it requires effort. I had it last night, but I'm telling you, I almost didn't want to eat last night. I was so tired. Remember I was saying? But I was hungry like crazy.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, James was talking about the nasturtium flowers, and why I have so many is I tried to grow a couple different kinds. So I typically I love growing jewel mix nasturtiums. They're beautiful and very productive, and they were the first ones to come out and bloom for me this year. I tried 3 different types in the peat bale row, so they're all getting basically the same kind of attention and sunlight and whatever. So the first one to come out was the Jewel Mix, and then shortly after Tip Top came out. That's Tip Top Alaska. And the Jewel Mix has the red, the yellows, and the orange blossoms, which are very nice. And the Tip Top Alaska seems to only have yellow blossoms, but there's 2 shades of yellow. And one of the shades it wouldn't be attractive, but because it offers variety. You know, if it was just that shade, nobody would buy it, right? Nobody would buy that. Yeah, because it's not that attractive. But since it offers some variety, it's actually nice with the Tip Top Alaska and on James's dinners. And anyway, so then what is it called? The name is slipping my mind right now. It's something like Queen of India or something like that. I can't remember. But that one came out last, and that one, the leaves are the most beautiful on that plant. And it has the red flowers, just red, which is lovely. But it's not producing nearly as many blooms as the other one. Why I'm having so many blooms this year? Tip Top Alaska. It's incredible how many blooms those plants are putting out. It's the other 2 don't compare at all. So as much as I'm not really partial to their yellowish blooms or yellow orange, whatever, as much as the Jewel Mix or the other one, honestly I think I'd grow Tip Top Alaska all the time now. That's incredible how many blooms they're putting on. It's honestly, I think one plant could feed, well, maybe one peat bell row. So maybe 3 or 4 plants could feed James all the blooms he needs for every day for eating. They're just so productive. It's incredible. Anyway, I'll talk about this. So we were given these Power Bowl things by the food bank, and I'm very thankful. We were given this. I wouldn't have bought these things. But now that I see I can make a soup that's, you just put your leftovers in and some seasoning, like as long as you have baked potatoes that you've made. I always have baked potatoes for James.
Ready
Because
in the fridge.
Yeah, ready in the fridge because he loves baked potatoes. He goes through a lot of them, and it's easy for me to make a meal like that. I just chop up some of the baked potatoes, and there we go. Stick some soup, make it into soup. So, but yeah, when I put these 2 together, I thought, wow, this seems like the name brand tomato vegetable soup that everybody buys in the cans. And I thought, gee, if you're really hard pressed for time, it's probably better to get this. Get a pasta sauce or even just a can of tomato sauce would probably do the trick, and a little bit of something to heat it up, maybe a little dash of Tabasco or something like that, or whatever. A little bit of ancho chili powder would be better with added to the seasoning mix, and you'd have yourself a very good, a tasty soup that compares to what you'd buy in a can for much more expensive. That one spice, the beef stew mix that I can make several, like maybe 10 bowls of soup for James. Like, it's incredible how
Out
much.
of one of the cans?
Yeah, no, I don't, well, yeah,
Well,
because it doesn't take much of this either. You just put a little bit and a little bit of the spice stuff in, and it's good soup. James likes
that's
it.
impressive.
So, anyway, and there's less, it'd be less, like, even if you bought your tins of pasta sauce like that, it'd still be less wasteful than getting the cans of the regular vegetable soup that you get from the top name brand that everybody gets. I'm not going to mention the name. That starts with a C. But anyway, because those cans, I mean, you pour it in, heat it up, and you have that can left over. And yeah, you have a can left over here with the pasta sauce, but you don't have to. You could buy your pasta sauce in a jar, use for canning, or you could make your own and can it and have it ready. And honestly, it's just, this is better to have a little pouch rather than an aluminum can at the end of it, because yeah, it's just so many, it's less waste. Anyway, In the Fade. This one was subtitles, and it was from Germany, I think, I would figure. But yeah, it says Germany, France. But anyway, it's about a woman who, she is married to a man from, well, she gets married to a man from Turkey, and he they end up having a child together and whatever, and he was in prison, and she was they'd met because she said he dealt pot to me when I was a teenager or whatever. And so anyway, it so happens that her son and her husband end up being casualties in a terrorist bomb attack. And the police are asking her, would there be any reason why they're targeting? Like, they live in this fancy house and stuff, and the police are like, your husband makes $50,000 a year and you have no income, so how can you afford this fancy house? And they know that he'd been dealing drugs, right? That's how she says they met. But she says he doesn't do that anymore, and so it had nothing to do with drugs. She's saying it didn't have, and she's really frosted that they could even say that to her. And I guess, if you just lost your husband and your kid, you wouldn't want to have the police saying that maybe to you. But come on. I mean, that's a logical path for the police to take. And anybody who gets upset with that, given the circumstances, is unjustifiably upset, honestly. But it turns out that she was right. It was Nazis who were to blame for the bombing, and things don't work out as well with the judicial system as she would have liked. Whatever. It's a really great movie, though. I don't normally watch subtitle movies because I'm busy writing poetry or reading up, trying to find out, okay, I saw this plant, what is it? Like this morning I looked up a plant, and it was, I think, green-flowered wintergreen. I thought it was something else, but I think that's what it was. Anyway.
Was that the one that we saw when we were coming back?
Yeah.
I can't. What was it? We thought it was a copper root or something like that.
I thought it was a green-flowered coral root.
Coral root.
Because I just read up on that, right? Mm-hmm. And I knew it was like it wasn't quite green. Sometimes they say green-flowered when they're not really. They don't know. It's kind of well, I don't want to be kind of gross or anything, but maybe a snotty phlegm color or flower. I mean, it's not a really attractive color for a flower, but it's interesting, right? It's different. And I was very happy to find that flower. But I was hot on the way down, and when I was saying that it was coral root, I thought, wait, that doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right. It does seem familiar to me, but what is it, right? But I was so overheated and stuff. But then when I came back and thought of it, I was like, gee, it reminds me more of the wintergreens I've been seeing, like the pink wintergreen, but not pink wintergreen because it's the wrong color.
And what
So
sort
I
of
looked it up in
flowered
the
wintergreen was it, you said?
green flowered. So I
Green,
looked it up.
it was greenish flower.
Yeah, I didn't find it in either of the books with pictures, with the color pictures, but I found it in the Yopkite, the Waterton book. So I'm
That's
pretty
an awesome
sure
book.
that's what it was. Anyway, and I have other flowers I have to find, but back to the movie thing. So I don't normally watch the subtitles ones anymore because I'm busy doing something else. The movies are not what the main thing that I'm doing. They're just something in the background. So, but I watched this one. There's you kind of, at the end of the movie, you go, okay, well, this is where it was going. You could see that there was a foreshadow leading up to it that you hadn't really maybe caught at the beginning or whatever. But anyway, at the end they have the stats up, talking about since between 2000 and 2007, there were so many people killed and so many terrorist attacks of foreigners on foreigners in the country or whatever. I'm not saying that very well because I'm very tired. But James pointed out, well, that it is good to have those stats, but it's important to have more of the stats, like how many attacks were caused by foreigners on the land, what percentage of the terrorist attacks were caused by this group or that or this or whatever, right? Because if you're going to single out one group, you got to give more a broader sense of where that's coming from or whatever, right?
They're taking it out of context.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of bad behavior on the part of ethnic groups in Europe, Canada, United States, Australia, Holland. It's very bad. It's very bad in France. And this stuff is incendiary. It's not triggering. It's incendiary. And so I don't want to see right-wing militias going loose. I'd be one of the first people that they'd kill. I mean, I've already had some idiot, who looked like he was an anti-masker, try to, threaten me.
Because James has to wear the mask in public, and now I do too. And the thing is,
I was coming from the bank.
Oh, well, you have the option of wearing a mask, and it's like, okay, well, what option? Option to try to protect ourselves to live or protect our loved ones. I mean, I can't visit with my family, understand? I can't visit with anybody without a mask on. Because if I catch something, I may not have symptoms or anything, I bring it back to him. And then what, he dies?
Well,
so I have that option?
That's what killed Colin Powell.
So anyway, that's another matter. At least we get to be free on the trails. And when we're hiking on Vimy, we don't have to worry about anybody else or anything like that.
We just got to worry about the animals, like mooses. We got to worry about bears and whatever.
We have a lot of freedom there. And if we lived on a farm, well, we'd be free every day.
Well,
so
within certain limits.
Yeah.
You do have neighbors when you're a farm.
Yeah, I lived on a farm. Yeah. Anyway, Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible Fallout. Now, why this got rated by me under in the fade was because, understand, I love Tom Cruise in these Mission Impossible movies. I love these Mission Impossible. But there were some things like especially the one scene where he's driving the truck and there's the guys all suited up with the guns and stuff in the back of the truck, and the doors fly open and all the guys roll out like they're little logs or something out of the back of the truck. It's just not realistic. I thought that was stupid. So there's things like that happen in the movie that I didn't really care for. And the man that he's working with, he doesn't plan things out ahead of time, and he makes work harder for Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise's character. So, I mean, you can see that you're not meant to like that guy. But honestly, I had some troubles with. There was one point where I don't remember the character's name, but the African American man who works with Ethan Hunt, one of the agents, not the Simon Pegg character, but the other fellow. I don't know what their names were. Anyway, it doesn't matter to me. Although I love Simon Pegg, he's awesome and he's a great character in this, whatever. But there's one point where the other one, the African American man, is saying he's talking to somebody about how about Ethan Hunt's wife that he had and all this, and it's just really bad acting. Honestly, he was okay in the role, in the the parts where it's just action and not very much dialogue or whatever, but I don't know if it was all his fault. Like, it might have been just some writing or something, but it just was bad. It was so bad. It wasn't believable the way he was telling the story or whatever. It was just badly done. And so yeah, anyway, there was a lot of great action. There always is with these Mission Impossible movies. And I would watch it again, even though it wasn't my favorite. This one was my least favorite of the Mission Impossible movies. But, yeah, whatever. A lot of action. Get what you want there. Now, what are you talking about today?
Well, I didn't read a book yesterday.
Oh.
We were on the trail for 12 hours. We weren't walking for all of that.
So you're
we must have done half an hour of.
Yeah, singing and stuff.
Well, no, it'd be more than that, but wouldn't have been half an hour of a podcast.
Oh yes, yeah. I started recording your lectures.
Something like writing poetry. Yeah, but maybe I'll talk a little bit more about what we touched on. Here in the thing. The issue is per capita terrorism. When you've got a certain culture group, a religion, people representatives of a particular religion, punishing women by rape in some cases, gang sexual assault, punishing women in so-called free society for appearing in public without an adult male relative accompanying them. I shouldn't have to point out that that's wrong. It's not multicultural. It's actually one culture hammering down on people within their culture and people without their culture. And it's not triggering, it's incendiary. It's when people are involved in that sort of stuff, they should be deported right away. Because the big trouble is it gets folks like militias, Nazis and stuff like that, not going so much. They're going to be doing their stuff, but they'll get people on their side. People are like on the fence, whatever. And you'll get mass movements coming out of it. Wake up and smell the nerve gas, you idiots. We're all gung-ho about what you call multiculturalism. It's posse-culturalism. What you do is you favor certain large culture groups, and you've got this idea that at least one of them is super tolerant. It's just the opposite. The mere fact that you think something is the case doesn't mean it is. And you guys haven't done your research. You don't care to do your research. I know one person who said, this is a person with a PhD, said to me, I won't read this one particular religion's holy scripture because it's such ignorance. Yeah, that's part of the culture. It's the key part of the culture. That's what the culture is based on. And you're going around saying you know about this culture more than I do, stuff like that. Where I've read that particular document multiple times in translation, and I've gone through it 1/6 in the original. You got to read this stuff. You got to understand that you cannot tolerate intolerance. You can't. What's happening is there are all sorts of you're a fake left-winger if you go around supporting this kind of stuff. You're a fake left-winger. You're listening to me, Michael Ondaatje, you're a fake left-winger when you go around signing a petition on the part of dissidents from PEN, I gather, PEN, attacking victims. It's not just blaming victims, attacking victims, because this is victims of a terrorist attack, I believe in Paris a while back. I don't know how deep your devotion to democracy is, Ondaatje. But, in a democracy, newsflash, you got to have freedom of speech. And, when it comes down to religions and stuff like that, there's this idea, there's freedom of religion. There's freedom of religion. There's freedom of criticism of religion. You've got to be able to criticize the religion if you're a secular humanist or whatever you want to characterize yourself or other people. You got to be able to criticize representatives of one religion should be able to criticize other religions. Freedom of religion doesn't mean you got the freedom to go out and attack other religions, or necessarily, or talking physically, burn down their holy places, especially with people inside. You don't have that kind of freedom. Freedom of religion entails criticizing other religions. You got that straight, you stupid chimps? If you don't have that, you don't have democracy. How much time?
You're done in 3 seconds.
There we go.